He had a perfect credit score. Not good, not excellent, perfect. The kind of number banks advertise in commercials, the kind landlords trust without hesitation, the kind employers quietly check before hiring you. Daniel believed this number protected him. He believed it represented discipline, responsibility, character. He believed it was proof that he had done everything right. He paid every bill early, never missed a payment, never carried unnecessary debt, never gambled, never borrowed from friends, never lived beyond his means. He tracked his expenses in spreadsheets, set reminders for every due date, read financial advice like scripture. For 10 years, he built that number, and in 72 hours, the system erased him. It began with a vibration, 6:42 a.m. His phone lit up beside his bed, a notification from his bank. Your account access has been temporarily limited. Please contact support. Daniel wasn't afraid. Systems glitch. Banks make mistakes. Apps crash. He brushed his teeth, brewed coffee, and opened his laptop. When he logged in, his balance was still there, but his cards were marked restricted. He tried another card, declined. Another, declined. At 8:11 a.m., his mortgage broker called. "We need to pause your application." Pause. That word stayed in his head. By noon, his business account was frozen. By evening, his credit monitoring app sent a message he would never forget. Significant change detected in your credit profile. His score had dropped. Not slightly, not gradually. It collapsed from perfect to dangerous in one day. Daniel didn't understand. He called the bank. After 43 minutes of music and automated apologies, a human voice answered. The woman spoke softly, carefully, as if reading from invisible rules. Your account was flagged by an automated risk assessment system. Daniel laughed. "I don't have any risk." There was silence. Then, the system identified patterns associated with future default probability. Future, not present, not past. Future. Daniel said, "That's impossible. I've never missed a payment." The woman replied, "The system does not evaluate morality. It evaluates likelihood." That night, Daniel did not sleep. He searched online, forums, financial blogs, legal articles. He discovered something most people never learn until it is too late. Credit scores are not owned. They are licensed. Your financial reputation is not property. It is a product, a constantly recalculated prediction. Banks don't see humans. They see behavior clusters, statistical shadows, risk categories. To the system, Daniel was no longer a person. He was a probability curve. He learned about machine learning models trained on millions of failures.
People who defaulted, people who disappeared, people who died, people who ran, people who lost jobs, people who divorced, people who got sick. The system did not ask why. It only learned what came before collapse. Late-night spending changes, location shifts, different login devices, new IP addresses, business registration attempts, loan applications. Signals. Daniel had triggered several. He registered a small consulting business. He applied for a modest business credit line. He changed apartments. He traveled for a conference. Normal life. But to the system, these were tremors before earthquakes. On the second day, his landlord emailed. "Our background screening service flagged your profile. Please call." His insurance company raised his premium automatically. His bank closed his credit card accounts. Not because he owed money, but because he might. Probability had replaced reality. Daniel drove to his bank branch. He waited 2 hours. A manager met him in a small glass room. She didn't look at him. She looked at her screen. "I'm sorry," she said. "There is nothing we can manually override." "Who decides?" Daniel asked. She hesitated. "The system." "What system?" She exhaled. "Our partner Whisk platform." "Who built it?" She didn't answer. "Can I appeal?" She shook her head. "There is no human appeals process for automated risk classification." On day 3, the final blow arrived. His employer called. Their payroll provider had run a routine financial verification. It failed. His contract was suspended. Daniel sat in his car afterward, hands on the steering wheel, unable to move. He wasn't bankrupt, he wasn't criminal, he wasn't irresponsible. He was incompatible. The system had rewritten his identity. In modern finance, credit is not about trust, it is about control. Banks do not profit from people who are free, they profit from people who are predictable. Debt is predictable, stability is not. Freedom is dangerous. A person with no debt can leave. A person with savings can resist. A person without obligations cannot be pressured. So the system doesn't reward financial independence. It rewards behavioral obedience. Small debts, regular payments, permanent dependence. Daniel learned the final truth on the 4th day. His data had been shared, sold, replicated across financial networks, insurance platforms, employment screening systems, rental databases. One algorithmic decision had poisoned them all. He could not erase it. He could not explain it. He could not confront it. There was no villain, no office, no courtroom, no human to argue with. Only models, predictions, risk curves. He sat alone in his apartment, watching his reflection in a black screen. A man without a financial identity. Invisible. Not poor, not guilty, just untrusted. He finally understood. Your credit score is not a measure of responsibility. It is a measure of how useful your debt will be. And the system does not care who you are, only what you might become.
Daniel spent weeks trying to repair something he could not touch. He sent emails to credit agencies. He filed disputes. He requested reports. He waited. The replies were identical. Automated assessment confirmed. No manual override available. Risk classification remains unchanged. No explanation, no threshold, no timeline. Only a label. High risk. Daniel began to understand that the system did not punish mistakes. It punished unpredictability. In modern finance, safety does not mean honesty. It means stability. It means repeating yesterday forever. Banks don't want to know who you are. They want to know if you will behave the same way tomorrow, and the day after, and the year after. Debt is predictable. Debt is slow. Debt creates routines, monthly payments, minimum balances, interest cycles. A person in debt wakes up on schedule. A free person does not. So the system quietly reshapes behavior, not with force, with incentives. Lower interest rates for obedience, higher limits for repetition, punishment for deviation. Daniel began to see it everywhere. Financial advice articles saying, always keep a small balance, never close old accounts, don't pay everything at once. Not because it helps you, because it helps the model. Because models need patterns, and patterns need chains. Credit cards are not tools, they are sensors. They measure how often you hesitate, how fast you pay, how stressed you are at night, how desperate you become at the end of the month.
Your emotions become data. Your anxiety becomes profit. Banks sell the story of trust, but they operate on surveillance. Daniel discovered that his score never measured responsibility, it measured profitability. A person who pays everything early is boring. A person who pays late but not too late is perfect. Interest lives in the middle. That is where money is born. Daniel remembered something his father once said. Debt makes people quiet. Now he understood. Silence is valuable. Predictable silence. The system doesn't collapse people. It shapes them. Slowly, softly, like gravity. Most people never notice. They simply adapt. They learn to fear their score more than their freedom. They refuse opportunities because of numbers. They stay in jobs they hate. They stay in cities they outgrow. They stay in relationships that break them because risk lowers the number, and the number controls the door. Daniel tried to live without it, without credit, without approvals, without invisible permission. It was harder than he imagined. No apartment, no car lease, no business contracts, no payment plans. Cash made him suspicious. Debit made him fragile. Even friendships changed. People asked, "Why can't you just use a card?" He had no simple answer. How do you explain that a machine decided you were no longer worth trusting?
How do you explain probability? How do you argue with mathematics? He realized something darker. The system does not collapse by accident. It is designed to be unquestionable, because responsibility without a face cannot be challenged. A human can feel guilt. An algorithm cannot. The system is never cruel. It is never kind. It is only consistent. And consistency feels like justice until it erases you. Daniel started documenting stories, quiet stories. People who lost access overnight. Entrepreneurs who vanished financially after one loan rejection. Families denied housing because of risk flags. None were criminals. None were irresponsible. They were simply irregular. The future they represented did not match the past the model understood. So the model rejected them. Daniel learned that appeals exist only on paper, that transparency exists only in marketing, that fairness exists only in speeches. In reality, finance had evolved into something else. Not trust, not partnership, not service. Prediction, control, optimization. A civilization built on forecasts, and forecasts do not forgive anomalies. He wondered how many lives had been redirected silently, how many dreams delayed, how many risks avoided, how many people reshaped, not by laws, but by scores. Numbers that decide who deserves possibility and who does not. One evening, Daniel sat with an old notebook. He wrote one sentence. My credit score didn't fall. My usefulness did. He closed the book and understood the final truth. This system will not collapse because people depend on it. Fear feeds it. Convenience hides it, and ignorance protects it. The future will not be owned by the rich. It will be owned by the predictable. If you are watching this, your score exists, even if you never checked it. It already speaks for you. Before you enter rooms, before you apply, before you ask, before you fail. You don't carry it. It carries you, quietly, endlessly, mathematically. And one day, without warning, it may decide you are no longer necessary.